we're going to be learning HTML for the absolute beginners. Okay, let's start it. So I think this is the maximum size I can do right here. HTML. So what do you know about HTML? So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Okay, so this is what the HTML stands for, and so you can see that it's a text markup language. So HTML don't have an alternative. So for a programming language, there are like many alternatives. You can use Java, you can use Python, you can use C#, and you can use whatever you want. But for the hypertext markup language, there is like only one programming language. I mean, it's not a programming language, it's a markup language, which is HTML. So there's no alternative for this. Why do you actually want to learn the HTML? The reason why you want to learn HTML is that if you're opening a browser and you see all these letters, tables, columns, the size of the text, everything is done by using HTML. So without HTML, there will be no web pages. So how do you write a HTML code? For basic HTML code for the learning purposes, you can actually use Notepad, and you can save the file in HTML format, and you can open it, and it will use a browser to open the HTML file. So HTML runs on a browser. So it might be any browser. It might be a Chrome, it might be Firefox, it might be a Opera, Brave, or any browser which can run any internet stuffs can actually run on HTML. So HTML is a hypertext markup language, which is an essential one that everyone should know if you want to become a UI developer or a UX designer. You want to know HTML. So HTML is basically the letters, the formats, the size, the tables that you see in a web browser. But there is also another thing, which is a cascading style sheet, which is CSS, which will give you the colors, the style, as the name suggests, to the HTML elements. So HTML and CSS are like siblings. They both rely on each other, but HTML could also be done and it can be displayed without CSS, but CSS cannot be done without HTML. So CSS is actually relied on HTML, but they are both like siblings. They need each other. So this video is for the people who have no clue about HTML and they have decided to learn HTML. So if you're someone who doesn't know what a HTML is, but I want to learn HTML, but I have no clue, so this is the right video for you. But at the end of this video, you might be a person who actually who's a king in HTML. Yeah, I'm giving the word for you. But this is a real-time video which I am recording and doing the live right now. So I'm not gonna edit this video, so I'm gonna leave it as it is after the live ends. So feel free to skip whenever there is a blank video, wherever there is a break that appears on a video, you skip it, because I'm doing it in a real time right now. So if you want to go to break, if you want to use the restroom, I'm gonna type the break on the notepad, and if you see break on my screen, you skip it. You skip to the reading part. So this will be the real-time videos which will help you to learn by watching the video. I don't want to skip and edit it, so I'm going to leave it as it is. So I hope I have made everything clear. So what do you want to know? So if you're a person who have decided to learn HTML, what are the things you need? The first of all, you need a notepad, because it's a basic training right now, so I'm not gonna use any text editor or IDE right now. So it's gonna be the notepad, and you need a browser. Every computer has a browser. I think you can also learn HTML by using your mobile as well, because a lot of mobile actually supports notepad right now. If your mobile supports saving of HTML file, you can save it and you can open it on the browser, and you can see your work on the browser. You can see your document on the browser. But most of the people, I don't think so. You might be working on mobile, but everyone does have a mobile, right? If you're a student who is staying away from your home, you don't have a laptop or any computer, you can actually practice the HTML in your mobile as well. You can download the Notepad app from the App Store or Play Store. If you're using an Android or iPhone, probably there should be a notepad, and make sure that your notepad allows you to save the file in HTML. If it allows you to save the file in HTML, then you can listen to this tutorial and work on your mobile as well. If you're using your iPad, I guess it allows notepad and saving of HTML. If you're watching on computer, then it's cool. You can work on it. So what you need to know, you need to have a notepad and a web browser for this tutorial. Notepad might be any company's notepad, and browser is any browser, because pretty much every browser runs on HTML5, an upgraded one right now. Every computer actually supports a browser, and every browser supports HTML5 and later version. So notepad and a browser is the two only things you need to learn this HTML. Okay, this is for the absolute beginners. That's the reason I'm giving a lot of details to each and everything, because this is not for the people who already have some idea about HTML, who is like intermediate. This is for the people who have no clue about HTML, for the absolute beginners. So that's the reason I'm giving everything in a very detailed manner. So let's start learning HTML. So make sure to leave a like and follow my page in Facebook if you're watching this video on like Facebook, and if you're watching this video on like YouTube, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bar right there. If you're watching this on Twitch, make sure to subscribe or follow on Twitch. So you can do it on all the platforms if you wish. And we do also have an Instagram page as well. And so these are the 4 platforms that I'm in. So the name of the channels are like Absolute Beginners Coding. So good for me, nobody have picked it up on the Facebook or Instagram or Twitch or YouTube. So everything goes with the same name. I think you can see the hover board right now in the bottom of the screen. You can also use that. So let's start learning the HTML. Okay, so the basics of HTML. So what are the basics that you should need to know? So HTML runs on the web browser, so it is responsible for the web pages that you're looking into a website. It might be any page of any website, it runs on HTML. So we're gonna categorize the page. So we'll be having a page header, we'll be having a page body. So these are the very 2 things that you need to know for a HTML. So what else should be there inside a header? The title, and title will be like inside the head, and the other thing is the subtitles, something like that. And what should be there inside a body? Paragraph, tables, and any other lines, images, videos. What else? That's it, right? Pretty much This is all the things inside a page. So first of all, that's a beginning to everything. So how to turn your notepad into a HTML document? So to do that, do one thing. So use these brackets, and inside it, so this is the thing that you should know. These are the brackets which will convert your normal words into a HTML elements. So this is the brackets that you should use for HTML. You remember that it's created by the creator of this HTML. And so how to create a HTML, how to turn your normal notepad into HTML. So this is the thing. So you have to use these brackets, and instead use an apostrophe mark and write doctype in capital, doctype, which means document type. So doctype, and in small it is HTML. Okay, so now we have turned our page into a HTML. Now what else we can do is, everything should be inside a HTML. So every HTML document should have this, which will turn your normal notepad page into a HTML, and every HTML element should run inside the HTML tag. So it starts with HTML inside a bracket, and it ends with backslash HTML. So everything will be between this. And how to add a command in HTML? So the same, you need to have the two brackets, and you should actually use an apostrophe and double hyphen, and it should also end with double hyphen, which means this is a comment and it will not be displayed on your web page. Okay, so everything is inside the HTML right now, right? So let's like give a lot of space bars so that we can peacefully work inside it. So now what we have to do, so we have to create a header, right? So the rules are simple. Inside two brackets, write header, which defines that this is a header, and the same applies for the head as well. So it starts with the head and ends with a backslash head. Okay, that's great. So every head should have a title. So write the title. So whatever it is inside the title will not be displayed on the page. This is for our reference. The title might be absolute beginners coding. So this will not be displayed on your browser. This is for our understanding. So what to do if I want something to display on the browser? You can simply write it. You can simply write absolute beginners coding without any prefix or suffix. It will be simply displayed. You can simply type, it will be displayed because it's inside the HTML, right? You need not to add the title or head, anything. It will be displayed. But if you want to change the size, or if you want to turn the color of this letters or words, if you want to change the font, if you want to have a background, then you should probably add something in front that will change the, it will help us to change the color, background, or anything, or font size. So but you can type simply. You can type like this, like absolute beginners coding. It will be showed in the browser. Okay, so for each and every step, if I show it on the browser, you'll be have a idea. So what I gonna do is, I'm gonna save the file as a HTML file. So I'm going to save it with HTML or HTML, both is fine. Okay, you can save it as a HTML.html file or .html file. It will recognize as a HTML file. So I'm saving in driver E in my folder right there. So I'm going to save this file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this file right now. Okay, so here's our HTML file right here. If I open it, you can see it is displaying absolute beginners coding. So as I said before, you can actually type it as it is. You need not to have any prefix or suffix, and it will be displayed as it is. You cannot change anything because there is no prefix or suffix. And as I said before, this title is for our reference, so it will not be displayed on the web page. Okay, so the other thing you have to know is there are like some default font sizes in HTML, which are H1. This is the biggest size, and it should end with the backslash. And let me like type absolute beginners coding. So this would be the biggest size. And what I can do is I can actually copy it and I can paste it here. And here comes the H2. This will be like slightly smaller than the H1. The font size will be smaller than the H1. And you can also add H3, H4, H5 and H6. It's like only up to H6. So you can change like H3, H4, H5, H6, and should end with backslash H3. Same for here, same goes here, and the same goes here. So these are the like quick 6 sizes that you can actually use in your HTML document. So I'm going to save this file by clicking on Ctrl S, and I'm opening my folder and I'm clicking on my file, and here you can see that absolute beginners coding is like on the H1 size, which is like very big, you can see. And so what is here is this one. So the H1 is the biggest size here, and the H2 is here, which is slightly smaller than the H1, and this is H3, this is H4, this is H5, this is H6. So these are some quick changes to your font size, but there is also like multiple option available to change your font sizes, but these are like some quick thing that you should need to know. It can be used in both the body and at the head. It can be utilized anywhere. It can work, it will work. So this is the first thing that you have to remember. And okay, so we have learned about how to create a HTML file, and how to add a head, how to add a title, how to add like H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6 different font sizes. Okay, let's move on right now. So let's move to the body. So we haven't created a body right now at this point. So after head comes the body. So everything goes within this bracket, you remember it. So this is a body. It starts with the body and ends with a backslash body. Okay, so which means that we are telling the HTML file that this is the body of the document, and within the body we can add paragraph. It will go with the letter P and ends with a backslash P, which means that we are gonna write a paragraph. So I'm gonna write a paragraph. Okay, let me write it like this: the absolute beginners coding is a free online computer coaching service for the beginners who wants to learn coding for free. So this is the thing you have to remember. So this is an example which is a paragraph, and what else you can add? You can add a as well. So what does a means? A does not mean anything, but it will be helpful in many ways to change the color, to change the size, to change the font, to change the background. So even inside the a you can actually have the same. That doesn't mean anything. You can have it like this. So this is a. So, and you cannot add whatever alphabets that you want instead of a. You should actually use a. You cannot use B or C, it will not recognize. That's what I know. So now let's save it and let's see, and let's open the document. Like you can see it here. So this is the paragraph, right? So we can see it, and this is within the a, so does not have any difference, but you can see the thickness of the words inside the body and the words inside the heading. So basically what HTML does is it will give a thicker like a bold to the fonts inside the head than the fonts inside a body. But you can also change the fonts inside a body into bold by using bold option, but naturally whatever the words we are giving inside a head will be in a bold format, and whatever we are giving inside a body will be in a slightly normal format. So this is something that you have to learn right now. So these are some basics. So we are about to begin learning the HTML right now. So let me give you a recap of what we have learned. So what does doctype HTML means? So it's a declaration that we are telling the HTML file that this is a HTML file. We are telling the notepad that this is a HTML5 document actually. And what's the HTML element actually tells you, which is this is a HTML element of the HTML page. So what you're going to type inside is HTML. So this will convert the normal document into a HTML document, and this will allow the HTML element to function. So both are different things. This will turn the normal document into HTML document, and this will turn the elements that what you are giving, which is a HTML element. Okay, so what does head means? It contains meta information about the HTML page. So it contains the head information, and title specifies that title for the page HTML, and h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, h6 are the different font sizes, that are quick font sizes. h1 is the largest and h6 is the smallest. So body defines the document's body. This is here, and P refers to the paragraph, and A refers to that something is there. It doesn't have any meaning, but by using A we can change the color of the letter, the font sizes, everything. That's why we use A. And one more thing I wanted to tell you. So how to give a line break, how to make the line to skip the paragraph and go to the next line, or skip the present line and go to the next line. Since it's P and this is A, it will consider the A as the next line or next paragraph. If you want to break the line like here, like here. So I can give BR, so which means that this will come in the next line. Even though without the BR, if you are entering it in the next line, it will not consider as a next line. Let me like save it and open the document. And okay, I'm opening the document. You can see, even though after the coaching service I have entered to the next line, still it's in the same line. So you have to use BR so that it will store that in the mind that I should make the next line to come to the next word come to the next line. So now you can see after the service for the beginners who wants to learn coding for free is in the next line. So even if they are in the same line, if you are giving line break, which is BR, it will consider this in the next line. You can open it and see it. You can see, even though the HTML document, the for is here, now in the page you can see the for is in the next line because we have given the BR. This is the line break. You have to know it. So let's move on right now. So before moving on, let me give you a little information. Regarding the HTML birth. So in the year 1989, Mr. Tim Berners-Lee invented www, which means World Wide Web, the birth of a URL. And in 1991, the same person, Tim Berners-Lee, invented HTML. He's the one who have invented the HTML. And in 1993, Dave Raggett actually improved HTML to HTML+, and in the year 1995, the couple of employees who are working on their HTML improved the HTML to HTML2, and in the year 1997, the HTML 3.2 was invented, and in the year 1999, HTML 4th version has been invented. And in the year 2000, again another XHTML has been invented. And in the year 2008, HTML5, a service like a beta or like an alpha, like you can say the public draft of HTML5 has been released. Not the final version, it's a draft version. And in the year 2012, the HTML was released. And in 2016, HTML 5.1 has been released, and in 2017 we were using HTML 5.1.2, which is the second edition of the 5.1. And in the same year, the HTML 5.2 has been released. So we are using HTML 5.2 from then to now because there is nothing more to improve in the HTML, which it is just a markup language, right? So there is nothing that you can invent further. So from then to now, we are using HTML 5.2. So every browser runs on HTML5. It can run actually. So let's move on right now. So let us see furthermore. Okay, let's go inside the body right now. So right now I will tell you like how to add a link to a HTML document. Okay. So which means this is a comment. It will not be shown on the page. How to add a link in a HTML document. Okay, so how to add a link in a HTML document. Let's see that. Now, since we are inside a body, let's add a. Okay, now let's see. Let's say apple.com, apple. So we are adding an apple. So what we can do is we can go inside the a and we can type href equal to double quotes or single quotes, anything is recognized the same. Write the complete URL, https://www.apple.com, which means it's a apples.com, right? So what happens is this will make the word apple into a clickable link which will take us to the apple.com. So that's the reason we are using this href inside the a. You can also do it on the p as well, both are fine, but mostly people use a. Okay, let's save it and open the document. Okay, you can see that the apple is next to the previous line because we haven't given a line break. I'm gonna give a line break here. Okay, I think everything will be fine. So you can see apple is in the next line and it has turned into a clickable link with an underline. Okay, I'm clicking on it, so it is taking me to the apple.com, the URL. So this is the apple.com right there. So this is how you can add a link to a HTML document. So you can add a, and within the a you can type href equal to single quotes or double quotes, both are workable, both will work, and you can turn the thing like this. You can also do it on the single quotes. Let me show you, and you can use how much you can use so many times the a or p or br. There is no limit in that. Okay, let me turn into a single quotes and it will work. And let me give a line break here. Let me save the document. So now this is in a single quotes, right? It will work. You can see it's the same clickable link and it's showing the apple.com, because it doesn't matter, you can use single quotes or double quotes, whatever you want. So let's move on. So now let me show you how to add an image. How to add an image in a HTML document. This is a comment, so it will not be displayed on the page. So what you can do is you can simply type img inside the brackets, and what you can do is you can go inside it and you can add the source from where you're gonna add the image. Again, it doesn't mind you're using single quotes or double quotes. I'm going to use the double quotes. So image source src. Inside this, what I can do is I can save an image. I have done it already, but for your understanding I'm going to do it once again. I'm going inside a web page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a png image, apple png. So these are actual apples popping up. So I'm going to click on this apple, which is a png image. I'm going to click on save image as. So within my document, document Apple website, inside the drive D, I want to click apple dot png. Okay, let's save it. So it has been saved right now. So what I can do is I can simply type apple.png. Will it work? Okay, to know that, I want you to check it out. So we didn't specify the location, we have just typed apple.png, but it's in our local file. Let's see whether it's gonna pick it or not. So it didn't pick it. The reason is you have to specify the drive location. So it's inside the drive D, inside the Apple's website, and it's here, apple.png, right? It's just an apple. It's actually here. This is another apple. Oh, it's here actually. So what I need to do is I should copy this, and I should add in front of this. Oh, actually the file didn't get copied, so let me like copy this again, and I'm pasting it. So inside the drive D, inside the folder Apple website, and it is there actually, apple.png. So now let's see whether it's gonna work or not. And going back, okay, it's working. So what you have to do is you have to specify the complete local drives location. But if the file of this picture is inside the folder which contains this HTML document, we need not to write all this. We have to write simply, I mean, Apple is enough. Apple is fine. Writing Apple is fine. Okay, let me like show you that as well. To do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the Apple, which is in folder D inside Apple website. This is the Apple, right? I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to save it inside the folder which has our project file. Our project file is inside I think it's inside drive E, ABC HTML tutorial. So this is the folder which has our file HTML tutorial king. So inside the folder which contains my file of this HTML document, I'm going to save the Apple image. So now what I can do is let me like do it like this. I'm going to use the same technique, but I'm going to delete all the drive information because I didn't move it. I'm actually copying it. So there's like two apples right now. So the first picture Apple is in the drive D, and inside the Apple website folder the file Apple is there. But right now this Apple is inside a folder where our HTML file is located, and it's a PNG file. So I have mentioned PNG. If it's a JPEG file, you have to mention the same. So I'm going to save this file right now, and I'm going to open the document, HTML document. So you can see the file HTML king and the picture Apple are inside the same folder, which is ABC HTML tutorial. Let me open this. You can see two apples right now. This Apple is in the drive D. This Apple is in a drive E inside the folder which has our HTML file. So this is how you can locate the image from your local folder. You can also locate it from another website directly. So to do that, let me show you. So I have already copied this image from the website, right? So instead of copying the image, I'm directly copying the link. So I'm giving like copy image link. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it right now. this is the image link, which is a huge one right there. So I'm gonna copy this, paste it, and copy this, and I'm gonna paste it, which means I'm gonna use the URL link directly to my website rather than copying it and saving it in my local folder, local file. It will work, I guess. Let me check it out. So you can see the actual size of the apple directly from the website has been used here. So here we have actually copied the apple and we have saved it in our local drives and we have used it. But right here, this apple is not saved in our local directory. We are just using the link from the previous website, which is this website. We have directly using the apple's link. So that has been shown down. Okay, so let me teach you another thing, how to change the size of this image. Okay, to do that, in the same image folder, after the source, give a little space and type height, 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 and equal to inside double quotes or single quotes. You can type the percentage or pixel for the size. I'm gonna give 100 pixel and I'm gonna give another space and I'm gonna type width, width, equal to, and inside double quotes you can use either one, double or single quotes, that's your wish, 100 pixels. So I'm going to do it for the another one as well, which is below, because that's apple is really huge. So I'm going to come here. So after the double quotes I'm going to save the same, and I'm going to save the file, and right now I'm going to open it. So you can see the big apple, which is from the URL, is now 100 pixel, and another apple which is from our folder is 100 pixel, but the previous apple from the drive D is in the same previous size. We can also turn that into 100 pixels height and width as well. So let me do it right now. So this is here, and okay, now I'm going to save the same, open the file. You can see all the three apples are here. So you can use a line break for the apples to come to the next line. So I'm gonna give BR for that. And save the folder, the file, and I'm going to open it. So you can see all the apple are in the next line. So that's how to use this. So what happens if the file is not in the destination? As you see earlier, there will be just a image icon, image symbol instead of the actual image. So what happens, we have to tell the user that there should be an image here. For that, what you have to do is, after the height and width, you can type ALT, which means alternative, and you can give equal to and double quotes or single quotes, just your wish. I'm gonna tell apple. An apple should be here. An apple image should be here. I'm gonna save it. Since the apple image is working, it will not be shown. So you can see the apple is working, right? So an apple should be shown. Alternative wordings are not shown since the destination file is working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the wrong destination so that you can see the image alternative. So let me go to the top. Okay, so this is the drive, right? I'm going to give it as C, so it's in the wrong file right now. Now what happens is, since the image is not in the source file, it will show an alternative text, which is an apple should be here. So let me save this file and let's open it. You can see that an image icon is shown and an apple image should be here. Wordings are here because it's an alternative if the image is not there in the destination. I want to change it back to D, so the image will work right now. Great. So let's move on to the next topic right now. Okay, so there are like two URLs which are like absolute URL and relative URL. So let me like tell you the same. So let's see about absolute URLs. Okay, so which means it's a command and it will not be shown on the web page. Okay, so what's an absolute URL? What we have used here, this is an absolute URL. Okay, let me see another example. So as we have seen, image, and within image, source, and inside the source we are using the URL which is https:// www.apple.com, which means it's an apple.com. This is an example of an absolute URL, and you need not to use image for this. If you want, we can use a clickable image. What happens in an absolute URL is you can actually use directly the link. That's the absolute URL. So link to an external image that is hosted on another website, example like source http www. What we have used earlier. So what is an absolute URL is something that we are using directly from the web, like this image. So let me show an example for you to use an absolute URL. So what absolute URL is, you are using the image and the source is directly from the URL. So we are using the apple, right? And this apple is directly from a website, and we are using the, okay, let's visit a website. So this is a website, right? So in this website different fruits are given. So let's use like a banana or apple or strawberry. Let me use the apple, a basket of apple. I'm directly using this link. I'm not copying the image and storing it in my local file. So I'm going to the HTML document, and in image, in source, I'm directly using the URL. This is what is an absolute URL. So the image might be like pretty big. I'm gonna change the height and width like 300 pixels. Okay, so I'm gonna save it. So I didn't copy this image and save it in my local drive. I'm actually using it directly from the URL. So that is called as an absolute URL. So I'm using this image. It is not stored in my local drive. This is directly being used from the website of the copyright owner. So this is the absolute URL. So now let's see what's a relative URL. So what's a relative URL? Links to an image that is hosted within the website. Here the URL does not include the domain name. If the URL begins without a slash, it will be related to the current page. If the URL begins with a slash, it will be related to the domain. So basically the relative URL is the image which we are storing it in our local drive. So we have seen the example, right? So let's say image, and the source will be our image which we are using it from our local drive, like the Apple. And let's change the height and width. Okay, so this is the relative URL. We are using it from our local drive, right? That's a relative URL. Okay, so now this Apple is in our storage device, so this is a relative URL, and this is from an actual another website. We are just using the URL and we are not having the same image inside our storage. So this is an absolute URL. Okay, let's close it. Let's move on to the next topic right now. See about the style, how to use style inside a HTML. What are the ways to use it? Okay, so now this page is in English. How to tell that HTML that we are using a page which is in the language English? Let's see that. So inside this HTML element, we're gonna give a space. We're gonna type lang, which is equal to double quotes or single quotes, which is English, EN. That's the term right there. So which will tell the HTML document that this command is in English. So you can also use some other languages here. Instead of English, you can use French, you can use Spanish, you can use Mandarin, Japanese, anything might be there. But the element should be in English because it has been found by the American. Probably if you want to run your HTML without error, you just want to know that these elements should be in English because it is found by an Englishman and he's gonna keep it in English, right? But these wordings might be anything. Might be French, it might be Spanish and anything, but this command should be in English. For instance, let me tell you, let me copy something in another language so that you can understand what I'm trying to say. I'm going to a browser right now. So let me say Apple in Japanese. Okay, so this is what Apple in Japanese is. What I'm trying to do is I'm copying this. I'm gonna use it anywhere. Okay, let me write A. Okay, I'm typing Apple in Japanese is that this. Okay, now it will run. You can see it here. Because HTML allows any languages, it doesn't mean whatever language you use, it doesn't care. But the command should be in English since it has been found by the American. The A, the body, it should be in English. It should not be in Japanese, it will not work. So that's the reason if the content is in English, you can mention it that is an English content inside the HTML element. The lang is English. If it's Japanese content, you can type JA, which means Japanese, but it's in English, so I'm going to type it EN and save it. This is how to save your language. And even if the English is like US English or UK English, you can mention it. If it is an US English, you can mention US. Okay, let's move on. So we have seen like how to use a image from our own folder or from the source folder, which is a relative URL or alternative absolute URL or relative URL, right? Absolute URL is from the URL website and relative URL is from our storage. So let's see how to use a link, and we have seen it earlier, I guess so. So how to use a link? Using a link, we have seen it. I'm gonna tell it to you once again. Okay, Apple, and we can use href. We should write the complete URL, and we can save it. We can save it. I'm gonna give a line break, and this is how to use a link. Okay, you can see Apple here, and if you click on it, it will take us to an Apple website. Great, let's move on.